We are waiting for Bruce and Art. I'm going to dial back in. Hey, Art.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep, and we're just waiting for Bruce to join. I had to rejoin the service, so.
What happened here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was some RTMS, some backend, technical glitch, but all good. I'm back. I'm just going to, and we are live, so I'm just going to wait here for 30 seconds. He should be live anytime soon. We are live already. People joining in, hang in there.
Turn off the light.
Yeah, hang in there. We're going to start soon. Bruce's connection is traveling from Hawaii to Seattle as we speak.
Really?
Let me just ping him.
And maybe hit those lights below. So we're live. We're just trying to get the lighting so I look amazing.
Even more amazing.
Even more amazing.
How's my Hawaii shirt?
Yeah, you look great. Okay, I think that's good. That looks better.
Good.
How's that look? Good.
It looks great, yes.
We look scholarly with books behind us.
Mm-hmm. These are all my books. We just published them.
I know that. So poor Bruce, he's out there probably in the solar plexus trying to figure out how to reconnect with us.
Yeah. Can you call Bruce? Yeah, I'm going to give you the phone.
So, everybody that's watching, we interview photographers, but most of the photographers are bone stupid when it comes to modern technology. We know how to just operate our cameras, but Zoom and technology is for young people like Parimal. Parimal, what are you? You're about 26. 26. Wow.
Yeah, I'm young. I'm young at heart. Yeah,
you are definitely.
So let me just talk about our guest today as Bruce is joining, and there he is. I can see him join.
There's the good looking
Bruce. You're back.
Thank you.
You are back.
Bye.
Quick sound checks. I don't care about you guys. How do I sound? It's all about me. How do I sound? Deep baritone voice. Is it good?
Yeah, you sound good, Donald.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get started. Sorry for the hiccup. For everyone tuning in live on Facebook and YouTube, we have a wonderful guest today, a photographer from the Big Island of Hawaii, Hilo, and Bruce does some amazing, photography of the volcanoes, the lava, the art. The collection we're going to talk about today is called Earth, Art, and Fire. Art, not you art, different art, but still art. And welcome, Bruce, to Earth is Our Witness.
Aloha.
Welcome, Art Wolfe, as our artist in residence. What a treat for me to host this.
So what's cool about this, before we begin, is the fact that Bruce and I are good friends. He sends me coffee. He laughs at all my jokes. I love his work. You got it too? Oh, well, that diminishes.
I got it primarily. I got it mainly, and then I gave you one of mine. Let's be clear. Bruce is a closer friend of mine than you.
All right. Well, okay. I don't want to take too much of Bruce's time. Let's get on with his slideshow, and then we'll kibitz.
I got to say this, like this image as I start, like you're going to see images like these. They're absolutely epic and beautiful images. And as we start off and give it back to Bruce, as he's going to share with us some of his favorite images, I do want to say, speaking of coffee, smells great. This is not some random coffee. This is Bruce's own private collection called Mana Coffee Company. And he was nice enough to not only send us images for Earth is a Witness, but also coffee, one for Art, one for me. And we're going to talk about it towards the end. He is a talented guy, clearly.
I'm just
look at that smile. I love his little goatee. Okay, Bruce, take it over but we've been drinking tequila, by the way, Bruce, so you have to be patient.
This is why
That's right, even.
Yeah. Let's do it, Bruce.
Okay. So thanks for having me. Excited to be spending some time with you guys. Of course, when anybody talks about lava photography, they imagine seeing the ocean entry. The ocean entry is probably the most photogenic scene you'll ever see. And it's amazing. It's mesmerizing and just beautiful, quite spectacular.
I love the way, by the way, just as that wave is occurring, it picks up the glow of the lava. That is really amazing.
Yeah. That glow of the lava reflects off the water's surface, but it also reflects off the steam plume. And, you know, it creates quite a photogenic scene. And it's not difficult to get good shots out there because the scene is just so amazing, but it's really tough to get great shots. There's a lot of elements working against you. You know, lava is moving, and lava is also a source of light in itself. So trying to balance the ambient light with the light from the lava is a lot of times the most difficult issue. You also have ground shake and, sorry?
I love the way the plume is rising and curling back into the frame, and it catches the line of the cloud. That's what we're referring to being a great shot when everything aligns.
Thanks. Yeah. Sometimes things, you know, line up like that. Other times they don't. Like, oops. Here's one where it lacks some interest in the sky, but the lava was just amazing. You know, Breaking Dawn was nice, so we had that hue in the sky, but I wish there was more interesting clouds there. But, yeah.
Bruce, when I look at this image, the blue on the horizon and the pink above is the shadow of Earth on the atmosphere, and so
it is.
I don't think it needs any more than that. That color combination is beautiful.
Thanks. Wish I could take credit for that. All I did was press the button.
Oh, come on. Don't be so modest. Go ahead. Show us more.
So this is a lava tube that broke open next to the ocean entry. And it created another finger of lava entering the sea. So all that steam and mist that you see is from, it's a result of the lava entering the sea in the background. And it was quite steamy. So scenes like this last for just a fleeting second. And, you know, it's just being patient and waiting for an opening where you can shoot the scene. And yeah, so this is called, what is it called? Raging
Battle.
Raging Battle, yeah.
Sorry,
I've got so many images. Yeah, so this
you know, I think, you know why you name it, because Bruce has got a great gallery, beautiful gallery in Hilo, and he names these images. And naming an image is actually a great thing because it focuses all the emotion on how you title it. So yeah, but with so many great images, it's easy to kind of lose track, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them. But like this one was really interesting because I had, you know, these drips flowing into the sea, and you know, it's trying to build up new land, but the onslaught of waves, I mean, it just keeps breaking down that you know, the rubble at the base of the drip. So it's like a battle of the elements there.
Beautiful.
Oh.
So
this one is extraordinary.
Thanks. This is another aspect of the ocean entry. You know, a lot of times we have a ton of lava entering the sea, and that steam plume creates its own weather. So really rarely here in Hawaii because of the humidity here, but sometimes we have lightning in the plume. But like you see here in this photo, we've got these vortices that have formed underneath the plume.
Bruce, I put this image up on the Instagram, Earth is Our Witness, and this got by far one of the highest likes in the entire collection, not just your collection, so far. The 300
really?
images we've uploaded, this particular one, people love.
Cool. Yeah, I love
What
this
are
one with the...
that are coming down?
Sorry?
What are the...
Those are vortices, so like little funnel clouds. The steam plume, yeah, the steam plume is rising with such velocity that it creates these pockets of updrafts. And the billowing plume kind of induces a spin on that updraft. And it just starts forming these vortices. So these vortices, you know, they're technically water spouts, but they're not strong enough to draw up water. So sometimes they're really short-lived. On rare occasions, they last for several minutes. And this day, the plume was blowing offshore at a very steady, even pace. So multiple vortices formed under that plume.
Very nice.
Pretty amazing.
It's really amazing. Beautiful.
So also at the ocean entry, where these explosions that occur, this is a typical literal explosion where a ton of lava is flowing into the sea. It flashes to steam, and as that steam expands, it forces lava into the air. And so you can see the tephra building up onshore, and that builds a literal cone. And sun is rising in the background. So another type of explosion at the ocean entry is a lava bubble. And lava bubbles are violent explosions, and where you have pressurized steam that just explodes out of a fracture in the lava bench, and it expands rapidly. And as it expands, the lava is stretched into these thin sheets of volcanic glass. So you can see here these little gray translucent areas. That's that volcanic glass. It's like an actual sheet of glass. And at a specific point in time, it becomes rigid. And then a split second later, it shatters, fractures, and it creates a cloud of almost like glitter floating in the wind. It's really amazing.
Beautiful.
And lava bubbles by far.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah, thanks. Lava bubbles are really rare, and but they're so exciting to shoot because each one is vastly different from the previous one. And so I've got a couple of them here. This is an abstract. And it's just so amazing to see, you know, in person.
Isn't this an award-winning image I think you and I were talking about? Is this the image that's in the Smithsonian, Bruce?
Yes, this hung in the Smithsonian for a while. It won the Winland Smith International Award.
I got to say right now, I know, Bruce, something I was going to hold towards the end. We have a bit of a surprise, people, is that towards the end, but I'm just going to say it right now because I have my own eyes on this image. Is Bruce has offered for all of you guys through Sunday, if you like any of these images, in fact, any of the images on his own website called extremeexposure.com, singular exposure, not exposures, extremeexposure.com. Bruce has offered 20% off any image that you like, if you'd like to get it, using the code WITNESS. And I say that because I'm getting this image.
Thanks, Parimal.
Bruce. And Bruce, he's never bought one of mine, ever, ever, never. See, you know what this reminds me of is Do you know the glass artist Del Chihuly? He's a Seattleite,
Yeah,
but world fame.
I've seen his
This
work.
really
Yes.
reminds me. The previous image and this image reminds me of that delicate spun glass that he does. And obviously it's glass. I mean, it's very similar, right? So it's just, it's a dangerous beauty. Very similar to Parimal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Art.
Yeah.
Art, give me a break on your image. 20% off, I'll get it.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
But really, just about those explosions, how many were they just going off one after another or what?
Yeah, so in this day, this was 4th of July, 2008, we had a couple hours of explosive activity. So these bubbles would happen one after the other, maybe for a stretch of maybe a minute, minute and a half, we'd have like 4 or 5 of these explosions. Then there was a period of quiet because the steam was building up. The pocket of steam, that caused and created these bubbles had to build up the pressure to be able to shoot through the river of lava beneath the surface. And yeah, kind of an interesting process, but yeah. Sometimes those lava bubble episodes last for a while. Other times, there's 1 or 2 bubbles and that's it. So this was another day where we had several bubbles occur in succession. And, it's always fun to shoot.
Amazing.
So another fun thing to shoot are the rivers of lava. These rivers are amazing. This was during the night. River of lava broke out on the bench, and I was shooting from a cliff looking down, and that the lava is just so bright. It was really tough to get the exposure right, so I had to fumble around with settings to finally get an exposure that captured the texture in the lava. Yeah, it's crazy. This is another one.
How close would you be to this, Bruce?
Probably about this one. I was probably about 30 yards away.
And
looking down.
I mean, the temperature of lava coming out of the earth is what, 1,000 or 2,000 degrees or something like that?
2,000 degrees, yeah, roughly.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of times when I'm shooting lava, I'm on the upwind side. Like this, you can see the plume is blowing off to the right. The wind is blowing from my left to my right and kind of blowing offshore. And volcanic gas can be deadly, so it's not something to take lightly. And, being safe out there is, of course, extremely important if you want to stay alive. But, yeah, you can get into trouble out there really easily if you're, unfamiliar with the area and not familiar with volcanic activity. So anyone wanting to try shooting lava, you should always have an experienced guide with you.
And you do guides too, right, Bruce? You provide.
Yes, I do. I do tours and workshops and guiding services out there.
Wow. Look at that, Esper.
Yeah, quite amazing. This day, I got into a real pickle down there. It was really gnarly. I had gone down onto the lava bench. A lava bench is someplace you don't want to be there. It's an area usually that should be off limits. But I had ventured down onto that bench and climbed onto this seaside cone, this literal cone. Like the one with the photo with the literal explosions happening.
Mhm.
I climbed onto this cone and saw this channel of lava flowing into the sea. And I set up my tripod, and every time I set up, the wind would shift, and I would have to grab my gear and take off running. And I always take a respirator out there with me, because I don't want to be overcome by the gases. But the heat in that gas was just crazy. It's just crazy hot. And so I'd run away, come back, set up, and the gases would blow again in my direction. I do that. I did that a number of times till finally I was able to get up and actually had time to shoot. So I got a couple frames of this, and then the gas came in again, and I took off running. And then after I got my shot, I went back up onto the cliff. And as I was looking at my LCD screen and looking at the photo I got, I heard this explosion in the distance. And it was that cone actually breaking away into the ocean. And these explosions were just engulfing that area. So the spot I was standing on was taken, less than 5 minutes after I had retreated from the area.
Well, after your slideshow, we'll talk about that because I've had that. I know a little bit about this subject, so I want to talk about. But continue with your slideshow.
Okay.
And we'll talk.
And a
so
quick
another
time
thing.
Check, quick time check. It's 7:26.
Okay, got to go really quick. So another thing that I love shooting out there are lines and patterns. And so lava just creates some amazing textures. And, with the use of slower shutter speeds, I'm able to create motion blur. But the colors are outstanding.
It's beautiful.
And so these textures, again, are crazy.
Wow.
Amazing. Oh, I love this image. This is one of my favorites too.
Yeah, so lava, as it cools, this is a moving river of lava. You can see a little bit of the edge of the river on the lower left and the upper right. And this entire thing is moving down, and the surface is just being scrunched up into this fabric-like texture. And this river, the width of the river is probably about 15 feet across.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. And then, of course, you have these gnarly textures with the glow of the lava beneath peeking through.
It's beautiful.
It's such a dangerous beauty.
Yeah, it is.
Stunning.
So the last set of images, I've got about 5 or 6 of them. They're from the 2018 eruption. So this is Fissure 8. And Fissure 8 at one point, or probably for the last month to month and a half of the eruption, was discharging about 100 cubic meters of lava per second. So that's a lot of lava.
That's a lot of lava.
It's a lot of lava, which is hard to say after tequila, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
A lot of lava.
A lot of
And that's
lava.
when I
A lot
was
of
out there.
love. A lot of love.
I was out there during that last month, though.
Yes, you were, and you saw some of this. So this is Fissure 8 from the air. This is Fissure 8 from the ground.
Oh.
Ooh.
So my friend lived on this street, Luana Street, and this fissure broke out right in the middle of Luana Street and ended up taking her home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this fountain was shooting lava up about 300 feet into the air.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Wow.
So this is the exit channel. from Fissure 8, looking straight down onto it. There were these three
Down as in
little islands.
from the helicopter? Where are you right now?
Yes, from the helicopter.
Helicopter.
Yep. We're up in the air about 3,000 feet
Hmm.
and shooting straight down.
Beautiful image.
This is another shot of the channel, the exit channel from Fissure 8. And you know, this is a raging river of lava. Everything's flowing really fast. So this is using really fast shutter speed, probably about 1/2000th of a second to freeze that motion.
And that's something that people don't understand, how fast that river of lava is going. It's like if you were in a kayak, it would be a great river to kayak, but short-lived.
Wow. Is that right?
Yeah.
That fast, huh?
Yeah,
Very
it's going really fast.
What lenses do you use, Bruce, when you're in the helicopter, like for that kind of a shot? It's a long lens.
Yeah, this
400?
one, I was shooting with my 100 to 400.
Hmm.
Yeah, probably shooting at about somewhere between 2 to 3. Yeah, between 2 to 300 millimeters. And this is the river of lava that the previous two photos fed. So this is just a little further downstream. This river of lava was over a 1/4 mile wide.
Wow.
Yeah, so top to bottom of this frame is at least 800 feet.
Oh, wow.
So
It's
this,
like earthing.
yeah, this image is one of the largest fingers of lava we saw during the eruption.
Wow.
And I call this image inevitable because that house's fate was
Ooh,
inevitable.
inevitable. This is
Yeah.
sad and beautiful at the same time.
It is. And you know, volcanic eruptions can be so destructive, as we've seen here on the island. But it's also one natural disaster that actually creates in the process. And, you know, so being able to witness activity like this is such a blessing, you know, because I get to witness creation occur right before my eyes.
Yeah.
And the last image I have is, this is an area that was really special to me and to a lot of locals. It's called Kapoho. And Kapoho got inundated with lava in the course of a week. I think we lost probably about 500 homes down there. And Kapoho Bay and Champagne Ponds were probably the best snorkeling spots on the eastern side of the Big Island. And I spent a lot of time there as a kid. So it was heartbreaking to see that area being taken. But then, you know, all this land that's created in the process is going to be, you know, beautiful one day. And future generations are going to be, you know, visiting the area and fishing, swimming, and what have you. And it was kind of fitting that, you know, I shot this at sunset. So I call this Kapoho Sunset.
So can I say something, Parimal?
Yes, please.
It's amazing work, totally amazing work. And
Thanks.
when I was there, I witnessed an entire school disappear in the afternoon, an entire forest of palm trees. And, you know, it's extraordinarily graphic and dangerous and frightening and thrilling and photogenic and all those things. And from a photographic perspective, I have no connection to it other than as a photographer. But the people that grew up in that town, their entire history is removed. Because if I go back to the neighborhood I grew up in, I can piece together everything. These people can't go back to anything that resembles anything that they remember as children, or you as a person going back. And that is a unique statement on the planet to be able to say.
It's very unique.
Quite
very
amazing.
insightful, Art. Very insightful. Yeah.
Yeah, and lava activity, volcanic activity is just so dynamic. From 1 minute to the next, it changes, So a lot of people, when they view my images in the gallery, they say, so did you plan for this, or how long did you shoot this? Shooting lava is like capturing what's happening in front of you, because there's no telling what's going to happen. And a lot of times these scenes last for just a minute or two. And yeah, so it's just a privilege to be able to see that, and witness that, let alone shoot it.
Art, to your point. No, go ahead, Art.
No, I was just going to say that when I look at this work, it is extraordinarily beautiful. Some is very delicate. A lot has texture and patterns, and just very ephemeral. And yet, when you're there, it's almost like you're working with holding your breath, because, as you stated, the gases are toxic. Shelves of the land can fall out from under you, and a number of people have died just simply. And you cannot predict. And so a giant, hoping that it doesn't crush you the next second. And all of that is life and real, and part of the thrill and the excitement of what you do. And if it was just like getting up and photographing sunrise on Rainier, there's a predictability. Here, it's so unpredictable and so dangerous and so intoxicatingly beautiful. I totally get why you've spent so much of your career just nailing this and in such an eloquent and beautiful way.
Thanks, I appreciate that, Art. Coming from you, that means a lot. Welcome.
Thank you, Bruce. You've just showed us such great beauty.
Thanks.
So I was local. Tell us, how much time do we have left, Parimal?
That's okay. Keep going. Let's take a. It's 5 more minutes. Is fine. I think such an interesting conversation. I think time can wait for us.
Do you want to see more images?
So well, I want to talk to you. I think I would love. I could sit here and look at your images all evening long. But I think for people that have not been here, I think part of it is and I know you're well connected with the Hawaiian culture. You were born in Hilo, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Or in the islands?
Yeah.
So you know a lot of native Hawaiians, and people called it right. Pele is the volcanic. It's a little bit about what the Hawaiian belief system is here.
Yeah, the Hawaiians refer to Pele as being the goddess of fire, and so Kilauea is her home. Halima'u is actually the house of fire, and so that's where she resides. And yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
Do you believe that they believe it wholeheartedly is part of their belief system, or is it just kind of urban legend that they repeat? What's your feeling about that?
No, there's a good percentage of Native Hawaiians that do believe in Pele, and the different Hawaiian gods and goddesses, and they have these legends and chants that have been passed down generation after generation. And You know, interestingly, Halimau'umau, when the lava chambers beneath Kilauea emptied out and Halimau'umau collapsed. So it went from being a pit crater that was about 1/2 mile in diameter, and probably it varied in depth, but roughly about 400 or 500 feet deep. That collapsed. All the lava within Kilauea caldera or beneath Kilauea caldera emptied out and started exiting the ground in Leilani Estates. As Halimau'umau collapsed, it left this cone-shaped crater that's now over double in size. It's over 1 mile in diameter and probably about 1,200 to 1,500 feet deep. And now there's a lake forming there because the bottom of that crater is below the water table. So water's been seeping out of the crater's sides and collecting at the bottom. And there has not been any recorded history of a lake being in Kilauea or Halimau'umau. But Hawaiian legends talk about a lake within Halimau'umau. So the geologists have gone back to analyze some of these Hawaiian legends that refer to that lake to get a perspective on what used to be way back when, before recorded history, you know? So that's pretty interesting. Interesting aspect of.
And everything about that place is extraordinary. And you should also briefly state that it's not just a question of getting in a car and driving and shooting lava. You have authorities that don't want people out there because it's extraordinarily dangerous. As a photographer, you've got to really work hard to get yourself in a location and photograph these amazing sites. And it doesn't come easy. So to get the collection you've gotten is really being intrepid, sometimes being a little, out there because you're driven. And all these photos really imply that when I look at them.
Yeah, thanks. Like you probably experienced a little of it when you're here. There are so many restrictions. We couldn't just drive anywhere down there. And
and that one, the one shot that looks down the street with the vehicle in the front of that 300-foot plume, you were allowed just to go in and pick up your friend, and you got a couple shots, but you couldn't linger there very long.
No, I couldn't. And yeah, the National Guard had barricades, and the National Guards and the county civil defense agency prevented people from going in. And I had a friend, like I mentioned, that lived down there, and she was on the mainland. Her husband was getting treatment for cancer. So I had her permission. She wanted me to go in and help evacuate her home. So I had a pass to go in there. But then all the guys at the barricades, they know me. So they would tell me, you can't go in and shoot because, this pass is just to go help your friend evacuate. But, so I helped her evacuate, and just happened that this one day I told her, hey, Nancy, I think your home is going to be taken tonight, no later than tomorrow. So she wanted me to go in and document her home. And she said, also, please document the activity for me because it would help with closure.
Oh.
So that was like my golden ticket to get in there and actually do some shooting for her. And that's what it was all about. My role as a photojournalist during this whole eruption was really curtailed by the government, and it was really difficult to do my job.
Well, and that also belies the problem of living in a fairly close-knit community where everybody knows everybody. So,
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
a good job on these photos. And Parimal, I'm sorry, Bruce is a
No,
good
this
friend,
is
and I
great.
respect his work. But
No,
what we're going to talk about the coffee too. I mean, a different aside is the Kona coffee, or the coffee that
It's
grows
not,
so beautifully on
it's
this
actually
island.
not Kona, is what
yeah, so
Bruce
it's not
told
Kona
me. Yes.
coffee. I used to
Sorry,
be a
better.
I
Kona
missed
coffee.
that.
Yeah, I used to be a Kona coffee drinker, but I got introduced to Kapoho coffee. So Kapoho
Oh my God,
is
way better.
Kapoho, yeah, it is. It's smooth, it's rich, it's flavorful, and so the Kapoho district is at the southeastern tip of the island, and the climate there and the land there is perfect for coffee. The soil is rich and deep, and you know, they get an ample amount of rain there, and yeah, so the Kapoho coffee is like my favorite. It's my go-to coffee, and
Well,
uh,
in fact, I'll be making some before I go to bed tonight.
great.
For
You know,
me,
as a photographer, and as a photographer, you know, the hours that we keep, we need that caffeine, right, in our system.
Well,
So
we need the
coffee
caffeine
goes-
in the morning and the tequila at night. So, you know, we work it all out.
I got to say, by the way, Bruce, the
Yes.
coffee, if someone wants to get the coffee that's better than Kona coffee,
Yes.
I believe the website, correct me if I'm wrong, is manacoffeecompany.com, M-A-N-A, manacoffeecompany.com, and that's your private label.
Yes, it is.
That is wonderful. That is
Yeah,
wonderful.
thanks.
You know, Bruce, I did not know that that was your private label. I honestly, you've been sending me coffee for several years. I did not know that you were involved in that. So in many ways, you give me it. I don't buy it. I need to start paying for it so I support my fellow photographers.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I appreciate any sales that you guys can send my way, but you know, I drink so much coffee, I needed to find a source for myself. And when I came across, when I met this farmer that grows the coffee, I mean, it was like, oh, okay, I need to do something with this, you know, support my habit.
Yeah.
So there are two things that I'm addicted to. One is lava, and the other is coffee.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say, go ahead, Art.
No, I'm deferring to you now.
No, please go ahead. It's fine. This is amazing.
I can't wait, Bruce. As soon as we get through this COVID crisis, we will reschedule probably in 2022 a Hawaiian workshop, either in October or November, and we'll do the same thing we did before because I had such a great time. So
that was such a fun workshop.
Before then, yeah, it was such great food, great subjects, and you're such a gentleman, and you make me a better person because I'm so caustic, but you are so gentle that it just really works with me.
Well, I love the energy that you bring, you know, and your clients just love the banter, and yeah, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I +1 to that, Art's banter and energy. And as we close this, Bruce, feel free to close the presentation so we can see you all, you know, in a bigger size, if you will. But as we close, I gotta say, going back to Art, what he said, you know, this has been I mean, we have done a few of these, but as I saw this, and Art, as you said, someone's home going away, you know, someone's piece of land going away. I have mixed feelings. Like, I just don't know how to, I'm internalizing all what I just saw right now. On one side is extreme beauty. And on the other side, Bruce, even towards the end, you said that a friend of yours called you to say, photograph my home because it's going under, and for closure, photograph. And to me, just to comprehend that, I know soon in one of these episodes, we're going to call an Iranian photographer who is in exile, who used to be in Iran, but not anymore. He is in exile because he documented the Islamic, Iranian revolution. And yes, he can't go back to his hometown or home country, but this is worse because in some ways, you can still go back in the places that you just can't go back. But here, you could be at the same piece of land, but it just looks all different, like it's gone. So to me, I can't even imagine.
Exactly.
And
Parimal, when I was there, we flew out in the morning, and there was an entire grove of palm trees and a private school with buses parked out front. And then, because we're in a helicopter and you can't rent it all day, and in the middle of the day, lava doesn't look great. So we got up early, we photographed that, and then we went back to Hilo, chilled out for several hours, rented a helicopter again, went out towards the last part of the day, and the entire landscape was not recognizable. It was just this vast field of lava. There was no trees, no school, no buses. So when you think of your childhood, you visualize growing up in the house that you grew up, or the neighborhood, or the playground, or there is nothing. It's just a totally neutralized landscape with no history for you to cling to. And that's profound. That's very different than almost anybody experiences.
Yeah, shooting lava, I think for me, it brought me to the realization of how we live on a living and breathing planet. And how, if you're on an island or wherever you're at, you just assume that things are static. You're just living on this land. Well, here on the island, you can't take that for granted. Actually, no matter where we're at, we shouldn't be taking it for granted, because this planet is dynamic. And having that experience of seeing it firsthand has given me a tremendous amount of appreciation for the environment that we live in. We occupy this planet just for a fleeting moment. This planet is going to do what it's going to do. And but we need to take care of the environment that we live in. And, we can't take it for granted.
Well, I think what you're saying is absolutely true. Of course, it's true. And I think the people that have been climate change deniers cannot deny that California is experiencing the worst fires ever in recorded history. We've just seen the hottest temperature in Death Valley 2 days ago on the entire planet. And people that have properties on the North Carolina coast, Florida coast, many of those properties are underwater. And so the people that are saying nothing that we're doing is really changing the planet, they're clinging to falsehoods. We are affecting the planet. Yeah, there's the cycles of warming and cooling, but with this number of people on the planet, we are affecting the climate, and we're accelerating the change. But that's another conversation another time. For tonight, you have showed us amazing and beautiful work. I love being around you. I love your entire energy and your calmness. And thank you for participating with Parimal and me. So Parimal, close it out.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Art. And Bruce, I love what you said towards the end in terms of a message, if you will. It's a living, breathing planet. You're looking at it, you see it, and not to take things for granted. It's really well said. I just want to remind everyone, let's help each other out, fellow photographers, So once again, very nice of you, Bruce, to offer a 20% off using code WITNESS on your website. All these images and any other image that anyone wants, That's very generous. I have my list,
Thank you.
that I'm going to get. And obviously, as people are browsing your website, extremeexposure.com, singular exposure, not exposures, extremeexposure.com. If they need if they need a cup of coffee, because they're going to be confused, like looking at which image, this one or this one or this one, I would recommend just go for it. Just go for it. If they need coffee, Mana's coffee. Like, I love this. I love the aroma. Art, I need some coffee. You need to make some espresso for me after this.
The coffee machine's on. I've got it going.
You too. Thank you very
Awesome.
much, Bruce. It's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
guys.
Thanks again. Thanks, Art. And
Yeah,
thanks, everyone,
it's been
for tuning
fun.
in. Yes.
Thank you. Take care.
Take
All
care.
right.
Aloha.
Thank you.